Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
A frightening and uncertain situation for Canadians in Mexico as violence breaks out between cartel members and government forces. Hi, I'm Virjesh Dave. This is Big Headlines, everything you need to know to be in the know in just 5 minutes. Running gun battles in the streets and cars being set on fire, Canadians in western Mexico are being urged to stay indoors as a wave of cartel violence spreads across parts of the country, including the popular resort city of Puerto Vallarta. Air Canada is one of several airlines canceling flights into and out of the city. The popular tourist spot is in Jalisco State, which is essentially now in lockdown as violence between drug cartels and the Mexican government started spilling into the streets. It all began after Mexico's most wanted cartel boss, known as El Mencho, was killed in a military operation on Sunday. This man tells CNN his resort shuttle bus was driving to a nearby beach when
we saw a bus horizontal across the road, and kind of while we were registering, a man with a gun came around the other side of the bus. One of the women who'd been on the bus explained that they'd all been forced off the bus by armed men who were going to light the bus on fire.
Global Affairs Canada is urging Canadians to shelter in place. It's believed around 19,000 Canadians are in Mexico and around 5,000 are in Jalisco State. The 2025 tax filing season begins today. The Canada Revenue Agency is now accepting returns. A spokesperson says it's important to make sure you have all your slips before you file.
Sometimes people will file early because they want their return, their refund, but then there's a late T3 or late T5 slip that comes in, and then it triggers an adjustment process which can delay things, so you don't want that.
The CRA says you should also check your account to ensure all personal information is correct. The agency has streamlined its website, hired more call center workers, and revised its standards for accuracy to help make filing easier this year. The tax season ends April 30th for most taxpayers. Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced he'll be traveling to India, Australia, and Japan this week as he looks for ways to diversify trade and attract new investment. The trip's going to begin on Thursday, and it'll wrap up on March 7th. Carney's set to travel to Mumbai, then visit New Delhi, India, where he'll meet with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He'll then travel to Sydney and Canberra to meet with Australia's Prime Minister. He'll then end off his trip in Tokyo, Japan. The goal is to unlock new opportunities for Canadian workers and businesses across trade, energy, technology, and defense. India, Australia, and Japan are three of Canada's strongest Indo-Pacific partners. Also making big headlines, golden moments in freestyle skiing, speed skating, and curling aside, the 2026 Winter Olympics won't go down in history as one of Canada's best podium performances. The Milan Cortina Olympics wrapped up on Sunday with a closing ceremony, and there was no Olympic hockey gold at these games. The United States beat both the Canadian men and women in overtime. But there are some bragging rights. 20 career Olympic goals scored by Canadian captain Marie-Philippe Poulin, the most ever in women's hockey, and 13 points scored by Connor McDavid for the men's team in Milan, the most in a single Olympic tournament with NHL players. Canada comes out of these games with 21 medals, which is the lowest out of Winter Games in 24 years, 8th in the total medal rankings, their lowest in 34 years. So what gives? Own the Podium CEO Anne Merklinger says there hasn't been a big boost in funding since 2010.
We have not been able to invest significantly in infrastructure. We're in tough in trying to attract the quality of coaches and retain some of our top coaches because there's not significant enough resources.
Despite that, 8 Canadian athletes were multi-medalists at these games, including 4 from speed skater Courtney Sereau. And now we wait for the Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games, which begin March 6th. It was a big night for film in the UK as the BAFTA Awards were handed out. The politically charged action thriller One Battle After Another won 6 prizes, including Best Picture. The vampire saga Sinners took home 3 awards, including Best Original Score and Best Original Screenplay. Filmmaker Ryan Coogler says the cast and his community helped lift him up.
They made me believe that I could do this, that I could be a writer, And it was amazing to be accepted into more communities, the community of filmmakers, the community of Los Angeles, the community wherever we went to go make a film. And I hope that for all the writers out there, when y'all look at that blank page, think of who you love, think of anybody who you see in pain that you identify with and wish they felt better, and let that love motivate you like it did on this.
Frankenstein also won 3 BAFTAs. The British Film Awards typically offer clues about who may win at the Academy Awards later in Hollywood. This year's Oscars ceremony will be held on March 15th. If you haven't listened yet, today on the Big Story podcast, how are Canadian businesses impacted by the U.S. tariff ruling? Host Karen Siolan speaks to the president of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, Dan Kelly.
Canadian steel, aluminum, copper, lumber, auto parts, they're all affected. We know that these tariffs have disrupted industries. They've led to layoffs. What has been the knock-on effect from that on small to medium-sized businesses?
Yeah, we did a survey of our members to ask them which of the tariffs was causing the most heat or the most problem for them. And at first, it was the Canadian retaliatory tariffs that we had imposed on U.S. imports. So remember, at the beginning of this, under the Trudeau government, Canada applied a whole series of tariffs on U.S. imports into Canada. Mark Carney has now scrapped most of those tariffs. And that was the group that was hit the hardest, those that were importing food products and other things from the United States that were hit by those tariffs. Luckily, that has, for the most part, gone away.
You can listen to the full episode wherever you get your podcasts. Well, now you're in the know. Thank you for listening to Big Headlines. Make sure you follow, share, and review Big Headlines. Today's episode was produced by Felix Sloot. Enrique Amaturo is our lead producer. I'm Rajesh Dave. Have an amazing day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.